I'm sure by the intro of this video, you could all already tell what this video is going to be about, and yeah, I'm finally going to do a video talking about Halo Reach. A game that I have criticized a lot on this channel, as I'm just not the biggest Halo Reach fan, for a multitude of reasons. But this video today has nothing to do with that. While I may not like certain aspects of Reach, there are unfortunately, well, not even unfortunately, fortunately, a lot of aspects of this game that I do love. And today, we're going to be talking about a lot of those aspects. And this video is going to be quite large, a lot larger than a lot of my other Halo content. And I do just want to say this, Reach is not the only game we're doing. We're going to be doing the entire Halo series for the most part. So we're going to be doing Halo Reach. Combat Evolved is next because it's the next one after Reach, because Reach is technically a prequel, which is why I wanted to start with it, because Reach has a lot of interesting aspects about it that really no other Halo has. And it's a big reason I've wanted to do a video on Reach for so long. I've just been trying to think about how I want to do it, because I don't typically do these big videos for me talking about like the emotional side of Halo or how a game from the Halo series makes me feel. I've done a couple here and there, but I've never done one like this to this extent. So buckle up and let's get into it. Now, Halo Reach is a very interesting title when it comes to the entire Halo series, just because, like I said, it does so many things that no Halo game other than Reach really does. The only close example I can give of a Halo game doing what Reach did is like Halo 3 ODST, which the video I put out for it is going to be a lot more darker tone than what this one is. Even though this one is quite dark, I think Halo 3 ODST, in an emotional sense, kind of harps on it a lot harder to a degree. It's different in its own way, but one thing with Halo Reach that we all know is the character Noble Six, which to me, and I think to many other people, is unlike any other character you ever play as in a Halo game, and I think that's something that really makes it super interesting. While we have the Master Chief, who we all know, and he's his own character, it's not really a reflection of kind of you as a character. And ODST also kind of has it. It's a little bit more resemblant of what they went for with Halo Reach, but the rookie is also his own character. The one thing about Halo Reach, and the one thing that I want to harp on a lot with Halo Reach when I talk about this game, is the first thing that got me whenever I first played this game. And if you do this, it's something that I do at least. It's every Halo game I've ever played. The first thing I do is I go to the customization menu. And now Reach has a lot of customization. So much stuff that you can change. At the time when Reach came out, we never had a Halo this in depth when it came to like helmet attachments and different kinds of chests and arms and stuff like that. Different voices for Firefight, which they expanded on from Halo 3 ODST. But when it came to the character creation, when I first hopped into Halo Reach, I made my Spartan. Not really thinking a lot of it. I was like, well, let's be the character I play as in multiplayer. But that wasn't the case. And the first scene in the game really sets that in. And as you can see from the first scene, the first thing you see is your helmet. And it's not just the default helmet that they give you, it's the helmet that you chose, which really symbolizes this character is a part of you. And that's one thing I've always loved about Halo, and one of my favorite things. I know a lot of people hate the goofy side of the armor customization in, for example, Halo Infinite, which I don't mind. One thing I've always loved about Halo multiplayer with people's, like, Spartans, or Elites, if you're playing, like, earlier Halo titles, is I feel like every time somebody makes a character, it's kind of resemblant of who they are. You have so many different combinations, weird colors you can pick, or badass colors you can pick, and you can just make it a part of you. And that's one thing that Halo Reach really nails on right at the beginning, is you are Noble Six. And it's something that I think is just beautiful. It's something that completely changes the roles that we know in Halo of, oh, we have so much story on this character, they're kind of their own thing, and sure, the way that we maybe interact with them may be, kind of determined by our own thoughts and how we feel about it. But in Reach, especially in that first scene when your character looks down and it's at the helmet that you picked with the color scheme that you picked before he or she puts it on, is something that is so just ingrained in my head that whenever I start this game, it's kind of like a part of me is starting the game, and I'm experiencing it from my own lens. And it's something to me that is just super fucking impactful about this game. It's something to me that every time I play Halo Reach, it's all I'm thinking about. And knowing the outcome, it really settles it. It's something that we never seen in Halo. It's the art style is completely different than what we get in the rest of the series. It's not these bright, vibrant colors. It's not very like hopeful and joyful. The game is gloomy and it's dark, and I want to talk about that a little bit before we get into some of the other sections that I want to talk about. Because people always say, we need the Reach art style back. We need what they did with Reach artistically back in Halo. And I don't think those people could be more wrong. Unless the game has the story and the impact and the gloominess of Halo Reach, I don't want that art style back. One thing about Reach that I do truly love more than almost any other Halo in the series, and I know you can't see it, but all I'm pointing at all my fucking games back here, or Master Chief right here, is every Halo story up to this point is filled with hope. It's with the knowing in your mind everything's going to be okay. And Reach doesn't give you that. Reach from the get-go, when you see at first your helmet destroyed, and then it cuts to present where it's fine and you're just now putting it on, it sets in mind, hey, this game doesn't end the way that you think it's going to. You, as a character, do not make it. Now, of course, at that point when you're first playing Halo Reach, you don't know what happens to characters like George, Carter, Kat, Emil, or June. You don't know what happens to those characters yet until you get further along in the story. All you know is the character that you are is one that is lost in time from that point onward. He was gone before we knew the Master Chief and the events that take place in Halo Combat Evolved. And that's one thing I think the art style really sets in tone. It's very washed and dull and almost lifeless to a degree. It's filled with this sense of dread and gloom and sadness that no other Halo really harps on, except, like I said earlier, a game like Halo 3 ODST, which is kind of in a weird, interesting area, but Halo Reach does it completely differently. There's not really any color. There's color, of course, but it's so drowned out. It's not the forefront of what you were looking at. The game really wants you to focus on the world and how it kind of progresses from start to end. And it's something to me that really always made Halo Reach this very interesting and dynamic story. Is at the beginning, you do see kind of a beautiful world. There's a lot more color, but as you get going, it's more of these orange and reds and blacks, grays, browns. It's very destroyed. It's saying, hey, this is going to happen. You can't stop it anymore. The Covenant will win this battle, and there is nothing you can do to stop it except give it your all and make sure that we have humanity have the people to go on to the next day. And that's why every time people mention that they want this art style back, I'm like, no, let it stay with this game, because it's truly, I think, one of the most important parts of the game. And personally, it's why I think Bungie made the decision to do the art style that they did for this game. And of course, we know from games like Halo Combat Evolved 2, 3, and 3 ODST, those games are vibrant. They are beautiful in their own unique way. And yes, when they need to be dark, they are, but they aren't done in this way. They aren't done in this more like military accurate kind of style where it looks actually extremely realistic in some cases, where like I could look at the art style of Reach and be like, yeah, you know, if this was real, this probably is what it would look like. But they do it to really tell the story of what the game is, of hopelessness, of defeat, and something that we don't really see a lot with Spartans in Halo, which is Spartans do die. It's one thing that I love a lot about Halo Reach is every time throughout Halo series, we have always heard Spartans never die, they're just MIA. And actually, a really cool thing is when you go to select the last mission, if you don't know, in both the original Halo Reach and in MCC's Reach, there's little dialogue points that tell a little bit of story for each of them. And on the last mission, Lone Wolf, there's actually a little text that says Spartans never die, they're just MIA. It's something along the lines of that. And I love that they continuously drive that in our heads the entire time that we play this. And while there are deaths I'm going to be talking about in this game, I'm not going to talk about a lot of the ones that I think people would expect me to, i.e., a character like Kat and George. While I do think those deaths are impactful, I think there's two others that are so much more impactful as characters to me, but also how they go out. And that is going to be stuff that we talk about later in this video, but since I did mention him, I want to talk about George a little bit, because I think George is a very interesting character as a Spartan. And that's something that I really want to drive in this video, is how the Spartans we see in this game are unlike any Spartans that we really see in the games past this. There are definitely some parts where we do see it to a degree, but it's not harped on like it is here. And of course, I expect most people who see this video to be people who have already played Halo Reach, who know who George is as a character. They know him as this giant tank of a fucking soldier that has a heart like no other. And there's a scene in this game that I'm going to play that really settles that in. And of course, here's the scene.
Where's the rest of your unit?
We got split. I don't think they... It sounded bad on the comms.
All right, Corporal. Stay put. We'll get you a combat surgeon.
Damn. Plasma damage.
Found something.
I'll take that, Six. Not your domain.
I got a live one over here.
Come on. Out you come.
Menjen inen! Nie! Hadun beken!
It's all right. We're
Kirin
not gonna
nie!
hurt you.
Joi nie!
George.
I got her. Keep still, and I'll release you.
Mig. Eat vanak.
It's over! We've been engaged! Bad guy coming out! That Tango group has permission to pursue. -4, stay on the entrance. 2, handle her. 5 and 6, clear the hole. How long?
Question of my life. If the question is, when will the station be back online? 2 weeks, earliest. This is plasma damage. All major uplink components are fried.
2 minutes is too long.
Which is why I'm splicing into the main overland bundle to get you a direct line to Colonel Holland. You're in my light, Commander.
Find out what she knows.
What's your name? Do you live around here? Arnevin George.
Shada.
Shada. Se Potroznev. Your accent sounds familiar. Shapron?
Tangari.
Friend of yours?
Father.
Sha'inalom. I'm sorry.
Why would you be?
Big man forgets what he is sometimes.
She just lost her father. She needs a full psychiatric workup.
She's not the only one. Lock it down, both of you. Get her on her feet. The body stays here.
Thank you, sir.
Signal. It's patchy, but it's there.
I'll take it.
Let's not touch anything. You wouldn't want to ground this place.
Barely getting you. What's your situation? Over?
Colonel, this is Noble One. There are no rebels. The Covenant are on Reach. Acknowledge?
Come again, Noble One? Did you say Covenant?
Affirmative. It's the winter contingency.
Within that cutscene in the second half of it, there's a interaction that has always really stood out to me every time that I play Halo Reach. It's the part where Emil makes the comment, sometimes the big man forgets what he is sometimes. And then George, as the kind-hearted individual he is, he goes over to Emil and just tells him she just lost her father. And it's something to me that really sticks out. Is you see Emil interact and talk about civilians as if they're lower than him, as if he doesn't trust them. And of course, if you know Emil's backstory, it kind of makes sense. But then you have George, who, of course, his home planet is Reach. It's where he's from. It's the place that he claims as the place that he loves. And you see that when he finds this distressed civilian who had just lost her father, that he cares, that he wants her to be okay, and wants her to understand that, hey, we are not here to hurt you. I'm here to help you. And I love that. It's something to me that really shows a side of Spartans that we haven't really seen in Halo up to this point. That, yes, Spartans are inherently these hyper-vector killing machines. They are deadly at all costs. They are there to protect everything, and to not let anything stand between them and their objective. And this scene with George shows that emotional side. That side that actually cares about the other people other than the members of his squad. The people that he is designed to protect. And I think it's fucking beautiful. Every time I get to this part of the game, and it's actually very early on, it kind of makes me emotional. Because we have never once seen in a Halo game where there is a civilian in distress and a Spartan take off their helmet to look them eye to eye and tell them, hey, it's going to be okay. To tell them their name and who they are, and to show them that they care about that individual, that they want them to be safe, and they need to know what happened. It's just out of this fucking world. I think it's one of the greatest things that Bungie ever did with Halo is literally just this scene. I think it is one of the absolute coolest scenes in Halo ever. Not even in like an action aspect, because trust me, there's badass ones in this game, but from a emotional standpoint, I just think it's perfect. And it's something that, like I said, every time I play this game, it gets me. And there's also another scene with George as well that I kind of wanted to touch on as well. It's actually after this scene, or not too long after this scene at least. It's maybe another 30 minutes to hours worth of gameplay in the game. And it's when you were introduced to Halsey. And it's George and her's interaction that just really get me every time that I see it. I think it's one of the most interesting interactions we've ever seen between Dr. Halsey, who has helped lead the Spartan program, and a Spartan itself. And this does kind of correlate with George and Carter as entities and their characters. So I am going to let that scene play as well, and then I'm going to talk about it after.
I requested your assistance, Commander, and do not need a report on events that occur on my own doorstep. What I do require is a detailed account of your previous engagement. George, it's been too long.
Mom,
What have you done with my armor?
just some additions I've made.
Indeed. Visegrad Relay. Its data center was home to one of my xenoarchaeologists, Professor Laszlo Sorvad. Perhaps you could shed some light on his death.
If he was a civilian male in his mid-60s, he died with a Covenant energy sword through his abdomen.
Elites, then.
They engaged us as well. It was just after we found your scientist's daughter, Mom. She was hiding in the...
Irrelevant. The Elites. Tell me more about them.
3, Zealot class. One got bias. The leader, from the looks of him.
Zealots. You're certain?
Their armor configuration matched.
Shield strength too.
I gave the order not to pursue. Our primary objective was to get the station's relay back online.
Your primary objective? Commander, are you a puppet or a Spartan?
Ma'am?
There are those at ONI, myself included, who believe the Covenant dispatch elite advanced teams to hunt down artifacts of value to their religion. Survivor account suggests such teams are small, nimble, and almost always Zealot class. No doubt they came to the station for the abundance of Oni excavation data stored there. And you let them get away.
Data retrieval was not a command directive. Even had we known, we had other more urgent matters to attend to.
Like warning the planet.
Professor Sorvad's final entry in his field notes made reference to a latchkey discovery. Latchkey. Not a word he would use lightly. So let's hope that the data module your Lieutenant Commander stole contains it.
Cat?
Before you ask, I was alerted the moment you attempted to access its contents, as I am with any unauthorized tap. That data is classified Tier 1. I could send you to the brig for interfering with my work.
Maybe you'd like to join her.
I'm sorry?
We're currently under Emergency Planetary Directive, Winter Contingency. I'm sure you're familiar with the punishment for civilian interference with the Spartan deployment.
Are you threatening me, Commander?
Just making a reading suggestion, ma'am. Let's move, Noble Team.
Mom?
That will be all, George.
And I think that scene right there, just between those three individual characters, and while there is a little bit of dialogue from Kat, she's not really the main focal point in this section of the game. It's more George explaining to Halsey, who he referred to as his mother, which is kind of interesting. I don't really think we've ever seen a Spartan do that in Halo, where they refer to Halsey as their mother. While it does seem kind of interesting, because I guess to a degree, a lot of these Spartans would kind of consider her that, since they have all been Spartans since they were children, or well, you know, the thing that Oni did. That's besides the point. But he's really the only one that's like directly refers to her that as like she was his caregiver to a degree. That she actually at one point showed that she really cared about George. And the way that Carter interacts with her is much more blunt and honest and knowing of the mission and what is at stake, and knowing, hey, if you're going to threaten my Spartans, I'm also going to threaten you with the things that you are doing wrong. And at the end of that whole conversation, you just hear George refer to her as Mom, and she says, "That is all, George." And I think it's a really interesting thing of showing that he still cares about her, and it seems like she's kind of neglected it, or is disappointed in the decisions that he has made as a Spartan. Rather, it's because he's got her information that is considered classified, or whatever it may be. I think it really shows an interesting dichotomy of George's caring nature and her neglectfulness to a degree. And I think it's just such an interesting dichotomy that we see between those characters that is something that I wish Halo would actually focus a lot more on to a degree. And I will say, there are aspects in, like, I would say Halo Infinite, for example, that do kind of show it, which I will talk about in the Halo Infinite video that I get to later in this series, because, like I said, I'm doing one of these for basically every game for the most part, so I will talk about that when we get there. I think it's going to be a very interesting conversation point about not only Chief's character, but how they have kind of managed to show that in other Halo games, and it'll probably come up later in the series as well. And I just think that is such a unique thing about this game, because I feel like in the Bungie trilogy, we don't see it that much. And seeing it just in this scene, I think is just beautiful. Like I said, one thing about Reach is showing the different dichotomies of Spartans and how they present themselves and how they act. Because most of the time, unless you've read the books, we're just used to seeing mostly Chief's lens as a Spartan. We don't really see any others and how they interact with people and what their motives are and what they do. And I just think it's absolutely beautiful in this one very, very short scene. And now, as we progress through the game, it changes a lot. There's a lot of things that happen in Halo Reach that are, honestly, to put it lightly, devastating. Because at the point, and that's actually what I'm trying to get from this video, is at the time in the Halo series, there was things in this game that we never got to see characters go through that we do see in this game. And I think it's what makes this game genuinely so great when it comes to story, especially as a Halo title. It's just wonderful. It's emotional. It's impactful. And it lives with me in like a way that no other Halo game does. As much as I shit on Reach, and I'm not gonna lie, most of the time when I do, it is just to get a reaction out of people. It's nothing that serious. I completely promise that, but you know, I know it pushes y'all's buttons, and I know what'll get a funny little comment sometimes, and I'm gonna do it. But that's besides the point. But the next death that we are going to talk about, well, not next death, the next major part of this game that we are going to talk about is the Carter death scene. And I think it's a very interesting one. It's towards the end of the game, and it's one that really, really sticks out with me. Now, I know people would expect me to talk about the scene before Carter's death, where we last see him, like, officially as his character, but there's enough YouTube videos to talk about that, okay? Listen, I've heard each individual take ever, I think, on the Carter, like, last scene where you actually, like, see his character, and I don't think enough people talk about his death scene that actually I think is super impactful. While you're fighting through this boneyard, or kind of bone lands-like area, and then you and your partner, Emil, are caught in between these rocks and a scarab about to fire upon you. And Emil's first thing is, we can take him. And Carter just tells him, no, you can't.
Situation. Mother. We can get past this shit.
No, you can't. Not without help.
Commander, you don't have the firepower.
I've got the map.
Solid copy. Hit him off.
You're on your own, Noble. Carter out.
Crevice to the east.
But it's as soon as he flies the Pelican into that scarab, and we know that that is his last hurrah, is to help Emil and Six complete this objective, that he, to his very last dying breath, gave it all for his team to complete what they were out to complete. And I think, as a character, Carter is so well written as this head of Noble Team. He's really the bones behind everything, and he really shows that the entire game, that yes, he is a hard ass and he is a hard head, but he will make sure that the job is done no matter what stands between him and his team, even if it costs him his life. And I think that's just one of the best written, like, commander-like things that I've ever seen in Halo, is how Carter controls kind of his whole demeanor and controls himself to not lash out, the way that he's very calm but stern in what he does, but how he also realizes in that very moment of, they won't complete this unless I do this. And while yes, in the scene prior, we can tell that he is kind of on his last leg, he makes sure that his death was not meaningless, that his death was impactful in getting Cortana to the Pillar of Autumn, or to Commander Keyes. And I think it's beautiful. I think it's just a great send-off of a character to really show, yes, he is a leader and he will do it all for his team. And personally, while I don't think we'll ever see it in a Halo game, who knows, I could be wrong, I do think if we were to ever see a death of a character, like, for example, Chief, that this is how they would do it in some way, of his death not being meaningless. It would be a death that affects everybody in the fan base. Shit, I'd probably cry if I'm going to be completely honest. I'm an emotional little guy. I'm not going to lie to you all. At the end of this video, when I get to talking about this last part, I'm probably going to get a little emotional myself, because it is something that does stick with me in this game. But I loved this decision so much, and I think I've grown to appreciate it a lot more since I've got older, and then really realizing all of the aspects of the games that I may have missed whenever I was younger and I first played Halo Reach. And I think that's one thing that makes going back and playing these games so enjoyable to me as an adult. It just really opened my eyes to so many different aspects that I just never really caught on to. Like, at first, whenever I played this game, I remember being like, oh no, he's dead. That really sucks. Like, it's sad, but I don't know what makes it sad. I don't know what it is that makes this character special to me. Like, he's cool, but he wasn't my favorite. You know what I mean? Like, Emil was my favorite, and June was as well. June doesn't die, but like, why do I feel this way? And then like playing it again as an adult in my, almost mid-20s, it gives me a whole different feeling that I don't really know like how to explain. And I think some of that comes from like when I've been playing it recently. I've been going through my own things and seeing this of like, okay, that he didn't do that like for nothing. He did it for something. And it kind of sets like a principle in my own life of doing something to, to do it for that reason and not just doing things meaninglessly throughout my existence. I think it's just such an interesting thing that like you start realizing when you play these games in certain mindsets. And I love that whole aspect so much. But yeah, I think that's really all I got to say on Carter's end of things. Let's get into the next scene, because this is where the deep talks really are going to begin. These last two scenes that I'm showing and just put on for you all, I think to this day are two of the most impactful Halo scenes in the entire series. And a lot of it really has to do, at least to me, for the last words we hear from Emil, which is, "I'm ready, how about you?"
Good to see you, Spartan. Halsey assured me I could count on you.
Not just me, sir.
They'll be remembered. Cruiser, adjusting heading for the Autumn. Noble 4, I need fire on that cruiser or we're not getting out of here. Do you copy?
I have your window, sir.
Bridge, this is the captain. We have the package. Returning to the Autumn, over.
Copy that. Who's next? I'm ready! How about you?
Lieutenant, get aboard! We gotta get the hell out of here!
Negative. I have the gun. Good luck, sir.
Good luck to you, Spartan.
And I know that some people would hear that and think he's, speaking to the elite that just drove an energy sword through his back. But whenever I hear this scene and I see it play out, to me, it's like he's speaking to Six. But to me, have always felt like he was speaking directly towards Six. And especially after Six then decides, I'm not going to get on this Pelican and go with Keyes up to the Autumn and, be the next Spartan. It's like he's talking to him as knowing, hey, I failed. This is your time. And to me, I think that just makes this scene one of the most impactful that we have ever seen in Halo. It's knowing at that moment, as soon as Emil is gone, oh, my character isn't going to make it either. The character that you, as a player, represent isn't going to make it out of this alive. And I think that right there is genuinely so major to this game's plot, is that little 10 seconds where Emil dies, delivers that line, and then it sets you straight in. And Keyes' dialogue here as well just drive it in more, where he looks as you walk away and just says, "Good luck, Spartan." And I think that right there not only shows a lot about Keyes' character that we don't really see in Combat Evolved, but it shows that he's not only like upset that he's losing these Spartans, but knowing that he is doing it to keep them safe, to make sure the Pillar of Autumn and Cortana, the AI, get out of reach, because they know the inevitable collapse that is about to happen. They know that yes, while the Covenant won, we didn't back down without a fight. We held them back as much as we could, and we set them back so far that it led to the victories that end up happening later in the series. And I think that is the perfect ending to this game. And while I know there's something that people are going to expect me to talk about, I'm not going to, because instead of doing that, after I'm done talking, you will have a little bit of a surprise, because it's how I'm going to end this video off. But I think just this little bit of the game, these last maybe 5 minutes of gameplay and of a cutscene that you get, are genuinely the two best parts of this game, that every time that I go back and play it, it's what I think about. And I sit there for a couple of minutes and I'm just like, damn, how did they do that? Because I'm going to be honest, Bungie writing hasn't gotten better since then, if I'm going to be completely honest with you all for just a moment here and, break my character a little bit. But it's true. This right here really showed that Bungie put their all into this send-off. And the fact that they didn't do it with, like, a character that they just wrote, they did it with a character that you made. A character that is reflective of you. Yes, you, the player, is so insane to me. We've never seen this in another Halo game. We've never seen this in Destiny, which is in the other Bungie title. They made sure that what they sent out with was with the biggest bang. And I think that right there is special. And something to me that just, while I have a lot of complaints with Halo Reach, make me love it. It is the thing about this game that I look back on and I go, damn, that was so well done. I need to play it again at some other point. And I think that's where I'm going to end it. If you've never played Halo Reach, do yourself a fucking favor. I don't know how you have it, because I feel like it's one of, like, the most monumental games in, like, video game culture as a whole. Kind of just like the entire Halo series for the most part. But if you haven't played Reach, you should. And if you were someone who talks about the art the way I mentioned earlier, take a look at it. Like, really dive into this game and look at how it's so different from every other game, but it really sets the tone of Halo Reach. And while I get it, people would like to have that tone back, I think it fits so perfectly with Reach that I don't want it with another game, unless it matches that tone to some degree. But yeah, I think that's where I'm going to end this video, and I'm going to leave you all with the end of Halo Reach. And that's where I'm going to sign off. Later, guys.
Good guns, bud. All stations, brace for cast-off.
It didn't take long for Reach to fall. Our enemy was ruthless, efficient, but they weren't nearly fast enough. For you had already passed the torch, and because of you, we found Halo, unlocked its secrets, shattered our enemy's resolve. Our victory, your victory, was so close. I wish you could have lived to see it. But you belong to Reach. Your body, your armor, all burned and turned to glass. Everything. Except your courage. That you gave to us. And with it, we can rebuild.